Good morning. I haven't been posting lately. I'm actually heading out to the boonies. I've been looking at real estate. I'm sure you guys see my other videos. Trying to find my next rental I want to buy. The market's pretty tough. I just put an offer, a good offer, on this one property. Just a house. It's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath. They wanted $175,000. It was actually it was in pretty good shape. Small kitchen. I was doing the numbers. They look pretty good, decent. It's a nicer. It's the high class of the boonies. So this place is actually getting really built up for the boonies. I would say they got a Walmart. They got a Panda Express. They got a decent amount of stuff over there. Because I remember this place, they barely had anything, and then all of a sudden the housing prices just started shooting up. I ended up putting an offer in at $180,000, and then I put an escalation clause in there, which means I would go $2,000 higher than the highest bid, and the property actually got a decent amount of attention. There's multiple offers, and then the real estate agent came back to my real estate agent saying we have a similar bid, pretty much saying they have another one with an escalation clause and all that good stuff. So we increased our offer or bid from 180 to 187 with the $2,000 escalation. So right now there was I was going $12,000 over asking. We ended up getting a call and we didn't get it. I was a little bummed out. It was funny, the day I found out that I didn't get it, I was having a bad day, and I had a bad attitude that day. And I'm just like, after get my butt kicked that day, I'm like, watch, I'm not gonna get the property now too. Of course I didn't get it. I'm like, that would be the icing on the cake. But that was a bad attitude to have. You always gotta stay positive. My motto in my brain is like, when it rains, it pours, and it just keeps on giving, you know. And my real estate agent just randomly asked, did they end up sending a love letter? And my real estate agent's been doing it for a while. Love her to death. She works with another real estate agent. Awesome women. Very smart. They ended up asking when they accepted the other offer, they're like, did they send in a love letter? And I guess the real estate agent got caught off guard because she was surprised that she would ask that or expect it. And she said, yeah. And all love letter is, it's not an actual love letter, but what happens is people, what they do is they'll send a picture of their family or a picture of themselves, and then they'll write this letter telling them their hardships and all that good stuff, or they've been trying to buy the house or try to land a house. And apparently this one said it was maybe a girlfriend, a boyfriend, or a husband and a wife. They said they wanted to build their family here, you know, that good stuff. And my real estate agent was like, telling me about these love letters. She's like, usually you can check the box if you want to receive love letters or not. And my real estate agent told me she checks no for that. She's like saying, Brian, you gotta read some of these. They'll make you cry. I'm like, well, wow. I'm not a man of many words. I'm not really good at explaining myself. You know, it's just like, man, it'd be really hard for investors to write love letters. And I think to myself, okay, well, I'd have to go rent a family, go take a picture with them, tell them I'm an investor, then blah, 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 blah. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. Because karma will go get you. Karma will get you. Off of that now, I'm actually heading out to, it's boonies, but it's 12 minutes south of that one area I just put a bid in. I know this area, it's where my rental's at, and it's an auction. So I'm just gonna go drive around, go check out the property, see what it looks like. Because you can't walk the property, I mean, you can't go inside for this auction. Sight unseen, a lot of risks to it. I just started looking into it. And since I'm over there, it's right next to my rental property, I'm gonna go check out the rental property, see what's going on with that. I always like to check up on it when I can. A lot of the times I just forget I have the property, because I just have the property manager deal with it. And you know, if there's maintenance, they'll call me up and say, hey Brian, so-and-so's having an issue, you want to go fix it? Okay, I will. Or they have a furnace call. I don't deal with furnaces or AC. And they'll still let me know the furnace is down. It's a 2 unit, so furnace will be down to 1 unit. I just said, you know what, send your furnace guy, because I made that mistake before, trying to fix it on my own. It was super cold out. Long story short, I wasn't able to fix it, and luckily enough, I was able to get somebody later that night to come fix it for not that much money. I even gave the guy extra because I was so happy that he came out. But yeah, this property, my rental property, is not in the best location. It's pretty much, it reminds me of the show Family Matters with Uncle, and they're living in this rental property, and the train goes over it. Every time the train goes over, you see a bunch of dust, you know, from drywall just falling down on them. It reminds me of that, because this area, it has a train going through the whole town, and the whole town is built around this train tracks. And I've been looking up real estate for a while before I bought this, and I was checking, it was on Redfin at the time, Redfin or Zillow, either one, and I could see this guy's been trying to sell this property for a long time. Could have been 5 or 10 years. I keep putting it on the market, taking it off the market, put it on the market, taking it off the market. Couldn't sell it. When I locked it in, they wanted $140,000, okay? I guess it was after the fact, but it went $140,000, and some investor bought it. Who knows, they're gonna probably live in 1 unit or whatever. Actually, they're both rented out that time. The guy went over there and checked out the property, seen it in disarray, full of mold. Worst mold I've ever seen in my life. And the landlord said he was gonna fix all this stuff, but he wasn't fixing half the stuff, so I ended up pulling out a deal. Well, they dropped the price down to $135. So I put an offer in at like $120,000, or it could have been $115,000, and then they just said we'll accept at $120, something like that. But the deal was at $120,000, and then I went to go look at the property, went through it all, and we went through inspection. I wiped another $5,000 off, and it was a mix between going down on the price. So I brought the price down to $117,500. It was $2,500 for closing costs. So yeah, he did the same thing to me. He said he was gonna fix the stuff, and he didn't fix it. And I didn't want him fixing it because I seen the fixes that they were doing, and they said they were gonna fix it. I went into the property, I checked it, and that was the floor where it was, every time they flush it, it would leak in the crawl space, the toilet. So they replaced the subfloor and replaced the tile in there. I looked at the grout lines, dude, they were huge. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, dude, this looks like crap. Oh, before this too? I keep bouncing around, there's so much information. There's so much information. When we're going for inspection, keep in mind, it's in the boonies. So I couldn't use my regular inspector. So I ended up finding an inspector that would go to there. Long story short, found the same guy. Found the same inspector that already inspected that property from the last guy. What is the chances of that? Same inspector that the other guy just pulled out in the deal. Blew my mind. Oh, side note, if you guys don't get anything from this video, this one right here, if you're looking to buy a property, get your own inspector, because the one that is appointed to you from the real estate agent, I'm not trying to pick on them, problem is they're usually, the inspector and real estate agent are tight, they have a relationship, and they don't, when there's a problem, they don't really overplay it too much, because they want to make the sale, they want the real estate agent to get the sale. Obviously, if you start a lot of issues and the real estate agent loses the deal, then obviously that real estate agent is not going to want to work with that inspector. Ever since I got my own inspector, and he's not working for the real estate agent, they talk more because they work for me and not them. Luckily enough, that guy is an investor too, or he used to do a lot of flips. But yeah, I got sidetracked. So they did the tile job, whatever, they cut the subfloor out. I looked at it, crap job. I'm like, this is why I didn't want them fixing it. Found out later on when they were replaced the subfloor of that, they double stacked the wood. I don't know what they were using, whatever wood they had, and then they had shims on it, wood shims, and then they used liquid nail. So they didn't even they just skipped shims, and then they just put liquid nail to tile it down, and then they put grout on it. I didn't fix the floor yet, and once that tenant moved out, I ended up fixing it. Tile was cracked already. The new tile they just put down. The property is not really in a good location. It is like right next to the train tracks, right next to it. And this train is horrendous. It sounds the horn so loud, so loud. If you're standing outside next to the building, you can't hold a conversation. You pretty much have to stop. And it made me think twice about the property, big time. I was part of this Burr group, the BRRRR, 4 R's. I just posted a question on there. I told them what I was, it's just for a bunch of investors. They're trying to do good for themselves. Posted about it. I'm like, blah, 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 I got this good deal, but it's next to train tracks, this, and that. I'm not sure if I buy it or not. I don't know, people want to live there. And I remember somebody posted on there saying, maybe you don't want to live there, but maybe somebody else will want to live there. And it like hit me. I'm like, this guy is totally right. And also, I've been looking for so long before I got that one. My mom, I just told my mom about it. She's like, Brian, just buy the property, Brian. Just buy it. Just buy it. I ended up just getting it. Rents over there were dirt cheap. They still are dirt cheap, but literally one side is $600, so it's a duplex. Each side is 2 bedroom, 1 bath. I think they're around 900 square feet each. So one side was paying $600 a month. The other side was paying $700. I checked that area out, and at that time, rent should be at $800 for a 2 bedroom, 1 bath. Maybe even a dot higher, but I took $100 off just because it was next to the train tracks. And I did my numbers and it worked out. Yeah, I had to be the bad guy to raise rent, because obviously you can't just buy it. When you buy a property, you don't just automatically just start cash flowing, or it's not going to make sense, the investment. You don't go into business to not make money or subsidize housing. That's how you go bankrupt. There's some people that do, good for them. But yeah, I don't want to lose and go belly up. The $600 unit, I had to up it up to $600, and the guy wasn't too happy, which I wouldn't be either. The guy was paying dirt cheap rates. I'm like, $600? That's crazy. It's a cheaper area. He's like, well, I'm gonna have to move. I'm like, totally understand. You're supposed to they're either gonna pay the new rate or move out, and then you go in there and you do the turn so you can rent it for a higher price. That's the only way it makes sense. That guy ended up staying. And actually, I was thinking about kicking that guy out or not renewing the lease, because that was the guy that was just flushing water in the crawl space. Obviously, he didn't know, but it was leaking. The toilet was leaking around the base. Who knows how long? And I'm like, you didn't tell. Actually, I got upset during inspection. I'm like, this toilet's leaking. Like, it was bad. I'm like, you didn't tell landlords? Like, yeah. I kind of got irritated too. I kind of didn't hold my composure. But I'm like, you didn't tell the landlord this? He's like, yeah, I did, but he didn't really do nothing. And they probably kept their mouth shut because they're cheap rents. So, but he ended up staying, and eventually he moved out. And he was actually, yeah, the property was in disarray. I was gonna kick him out or not renew, and then go in there and just fix it up. But I already looked at the property, it was so nasty in there. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna, he can't mess it up any worse. He's not damaging the property. It's just the way he's living, it's filthy. It's disgusting. So I'm like, whatever, I'll let him, I'm not gonna not renew his lease. But eventually he ended up moving out anyways. And the other one, I had to raise rent. And that side was actually Section 8. And that kind of got scared, because I'm new to this stuff. I'm like, I don't know, I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to go to class, I'm gonna have to go file for, I thought there was a bunch of hoops I had jumped through for Section 8. And this lady was like, please, I wanna live here. You know, don't kick me out. It's a new experience for me, but no, I didn't kick her out. She actually, the Section 8 tenant was cleaner than the regular tenant. Section 8 tenant took care of the property way better. But obviously it's not always like that. But yeah, I had to raise rent, and I didn't have to really jump through any hoops for Section 8. I just had to call them up, blah, blah, blah. I had to follow the rules for to raise rent. I had to be like 2 or 3 months ahead of time. But all in all, with this property, I mean, right now, I have to increase rents. Right now, the property is at, one side's paying $950 a month, and the other side's paying $1,050. The $1,050 I did a turn on. The other one, it hasn't been a turn. It would be nice not to raise rents, but guess what? Every year, insurance and taxes go up. If you don't raise rents and everything else gets raised, now you're subsidizing housing. And yes, there's some people that don't raise rents, there's some people that do. Sometimes I don't, sometimes I do raise rent. These people, they're supposed to take care of the landscaping. I got a little upset when they weren't trimming the bushes anymore. Or the one side, at least, it's been there originally. So now I have to increase rent to include landscaping because they don't want to do it, even though it's in a lease. I'm just gonna chop all the bushes down. Not me, I might have somebody else do it. Not a big landscaping guy. I love that property, it's my baby. Oh, I keep forgetting this. I keep bouncing around. Oh, another thing about the property, one of the tenants that lived there after I bought it, I found out that tornado siren goes off every single day. I'm like, no way, no way. He's like, yeah, every day at 12 o'clock. I'm like, why would they do that? That's ridiculous. I found out they're still keeping the same tradition. Apparently, every day at 12 o'clock back then, it would, well, it's still going, but every day at 12 o'clock the siren would go off. It would let the farmers know that it's lunchtime. And they're still doing it to this day. Blows my mind. Never heard of this before in my life. And I didn't believe them. And then when I was there, how many times at 12 o'clock, this thing's beeping, or going off. I'm like, oh man, it must be lunchtime. Super loud area. But all in all, this property, if there was 5 of the same deal, I'd buy them without even thinking. Same property, same issues, I'd buy 5 more. Keep in mind, I was still new in investing, and I think taxes were at like $5,000. They were at $5,000. I realized they're taxing the property at $150,000 or $160,000. When I bought it for $117,500, I was able to, forgot what it's called, but pretty much I was able to fight the taxes. I had to attest. I think it's detest them. Let me know in the comments if let me know. So they gave an example online how to do it. And I did it to the price where I bought it at, and they agreed. So I brought my taxes down from $5,000 a year down to $3,500 a year, which was awesome. Now they just keep on raising them. They just keep on going. Probably because all the inflation, all the housing. But yeah, it's almost there again. I'll get you guys some shots. Just got to the property. Since I'm driving by, I always like to take a look at my property, see how it's going. Last time I was here, I actually sprayed, I forgot what this is, pretty much just kills all like grass and everything, weed killer, grass killer. I sprayed, it was like a few months back. Same thing over there. Right there, and then way back there. Cleaned that up a bit. That was really grown out. I just had this bush removed and all that moved. Also, I sprayed over there. You guys got to hear this one. So this sump pump right here actually used to eject that way, which makes the most sense. But that lady, when I bought this property, she was telling me that she's gonna clog my sump pump pipe if I don't change it. So then a few days later, I went out and then I changed it. Maybe it was like we'll say a week or two, because I don't want that in my life. I have enough problems. And then she said something, she got a hold of the town and they're saying it's fine. And then I was hearing from the tenants like she's been talking about that for 10 years or 5 years or something crazy. And she told the town she was going to clog it up. Who knows? Bunch of neighborhood drama. These pipes, literally, they just had like flowers on them. And I didn't know what they were. So I ended up like flower, like cement covers. I didn't know what they were, so I took them off and I started cleaning the pipes out. Still didn't know what they were. Called the city. They don't even know what they are. I couldn't, oh, this is where the sump pump is ejecting. It's the only thing I could think of. And this is the pop-up emitter. Definitely, it's not the right thing to do. But, it's just for gutters. But when this thing shoots water, it just sprays everything. Oh, here's a train. Woo! So when I bought this property, there was a lot of crawl space issues. And actually, I fixed a lot of the sloping. That's how you fix it usually. I fixed it with the gutters and bringing them away from the house, and did some other stuff. In the back, I brought the dirt so it would kind of veer off. I think I used like 80 bags of dirt. Now I'm looking at this. I definitely have to deal with that. Because when it's sloping like that, you're going to have issues. Water's going to come intrude. So I'm probably just going to remove all those now. Not now, but my next thing to do. Should have had a landscaper just remove them all. I forgot that this is actually that bad. It just slips right in there. I hate this. So I added these extensions, and they keep on moving them on me. You want to keep water away from the house. These sheds, I actually had to jack these up. This one I had to replace the outside, this board going across, and then that one out the front. That was fun. I just jacked them up and put them on these bricks. These things are not even close to being level, but I just wanted them out of the dirt, which I got it for the most part. Oh man, this is the area where this whole side I brought it up. Now I'm looking at it, it's still kind of sloped. You can tell where the black was on here. Here's the vent, and that's where the sill plate's at. Someone's burning. I smell something. I just grew grass here too. This is all grass, and obviously it must have died or something. They didn't take care of it. Made sure to tell them to water it. I had to fill this up. Put a lawnmower right next to my AC. Same thing with this one. I had to jack this thing up. I can only jack it up so much. Pretty much just made a hole for critters to live in. I wanted to jack it up more, but you're just gonna create pest issues. Same thing over here. Oh, looks like it's settled on me. See, we got grass on this side. I think all this dirt I added settled. Because now this is sloped towards the house. I just got done doing all that about a year or two ago. So I'm gonna have to probably bring that up now. Oh no, I hate looking at stuff. For the crawl space. I'm gonna see if I can post a picture of this of it before. Literally, this place was dark and grim. They had a few lights here, and that was it. Maybe three. Probably like one around here, one here, like one down there. And it was just a pull string. I wired it all up, piped it all in, so I could just turn it on and off with a switch. This whole place was full of mold. This is think it was made in 95 or 2000. There was an old house here that was knocked down, and they built this duplex. So this has been going, I've been doing a lot of work down here. This is the second vapor barrier that I put down. Usually if you're going to do a lot of work, you don't put the vapor barrier down first. But this place was so nasty that I did. It was horrific. And like I said, there was mold everywhere. And all these joists, they were just black. All everywhere. Let me get these lights on. So I used RMR 86 Pro. And I'm not no specialist. I don't claim to be. You know, you're supposed to use RMR 86 Pro, and then you're supposed to use RMR 141, which is like a mold inhibitor and a peroxide and all that good stuff. I just used RMR 86 Pro, and probably going on 4 years now that I own this property. And I don't see any of the mold coming back. You know, you get rid of the mold, you get rid of the moisture issue, and you're set. This is already foamed. There's already foam up here, and the main issue was obviously the slope in the property, so the water would come in. This is all cinder block, and it would just let moisture in. It wasn't, the vapor barrier wasn't taped. Yada yada yada. So I fixed the outside issue, which I didn't fix. I have to go back and change that. And I did the poor man's encapsulation. I can already see all the moisture underneath this vapor barrier. Pretty sure I didn't even use the right tape. This is just foam joint tape. I just used it everywhere. I ended up buying a real nice vapor barrier. This is only 6 mil. This is the thickest I can only buy at the hardware store. And I bought a really nice one. And I do a bunch of research on YouTube and all that good stuff. And they were saying that you shouldn't use layered plastic or a fiberglass enforced one, in case water gets in between them. It causes a cat pee odor. After spraying, and actually, yeah, I got this dehumidifier going. This isn't right. The poor man's dehumidifier. Supposed to get supposed to get one that actually works for a crawl space. Ow! It's hilarious. What did I do? I put orange tape on the gas lines that are sticking down, and I still bump those. The one here, and then one right there. And actually, if you noticed, I insulated all the copper pipes. When I sprayed the RMR A6 Pro, apparently, like I said, if you're going to do a bunch of work, you should wait to put the vapor barrier down. And what kept happening was those pipes kept corroding. And what I would do is, I'd go throughout the place and sand it by hand with like a Scotch-Brite pad and water in a bucket, so I could dilute it, so whatever's causing it to corrode. And it got so sickening when you're doing, you know, a 2 unit. You know, this is a 25 foot by 50 foot this way. And I'm like, I gotta think if it's something. So I'm like, I don't want to do this ever again. So I'm like, I'm just gonna cover this. I'm gonna insulate it. And be done. This place, the pipes were never insulated. And actually the vents were open. So these were supposed to be insulated in the first place. I couldn't keep sanding them because literally the whole place is in type M copper. That's the thinnest copper you can get. I'm over here gonna get sand right through it. Okay. I got these screamers, what do you want to call them, water detection alarms. one right next to the sump pump area. And I got one, there's a spigot over there. I got one over there, and there's a water spigot over there. Because how are you supposed to know if they leave the... Actually, I gotta go see if they have the hoses on. But how are they supposed to know if the thing splits and this whole place gets full of water? So, doing this to protect myself. Pretty proud of myself with this. When I came up with this idea. So, I got 2 sump pumps in here. There's no battery backup. I'm not a big fan of battery backups because there's a lot of maintenance. It costs a lot of money to keep it going. You know, if the power goes out, it's probably going to run. It matters about your area. I never heard this area really going out with power, but when it storms, you know, that's when you're going to, you know, that's when it knocks out power and you're going to have issues. So what I did was, I have 2 sump pumps, 2 different heights. I didn't want to lift it up. My little makeshift moisture sealer, because there's just like a hole going across it. And oh, I raised that humidifier so it actually would drain the water over here. If it wasn't raised, it wouldn't be draining. I could have bought a dehumidifier with a pump in it, but what's going to happen is the pump is actually going to fail, and I don't need that. I don't need that in my life. With the sump pumps, though, each one is on its own circuit. So in case a breaker trips, the other sump pump's going to kick in. If a unit has their power turned off, the other unit is going to... It's 2 different circuits with 2 different units. So I was pretty proud of myself thinking of that. Especially because water is the killer. And here's the train. I don't know if you guys can hear that. I'm sure you guys can. Oh yeah, going back to the water pipes. Like I said, I didn't want to keep sanding them. The main issue I finally figured out was the RMR 86 Pro. What happened was when I sprayed it, everything fell to the floor and got crystallized. And I looked it up, I'm like, why is this? It's like everything is getting, you know, everything's speeding up. The rusting, corroding, everything's speeding up. Why is it speeding up? And I did some research, talked to my buddy, and I'm like, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sweep the old vapor barrier, and I'm going to, you know, I'm just going to wipe it down. Wipe it down, spray it with water, wipe it down. And it just didn't work. And it was going to take forever. My buddy and I were talking, I'm like, I'm probably going to replace the vapor barrier, aren't I? He's like, it's probably going to be the easiest thing. I wish I had a better vapor barrier down, but you have to order it. And I ordered it, and I found out it was a 4-layer. Didn't even know. And I'm like, screw it, I'll just put this down here. This is fine. And I actually beat the other one to crap, and it was still holding up pretty well. And I did, you know, when I did the vapor barrier, I did a foot overlapping. Then I did the pillars. I do love this place. This place was pretty gnarly. Right when we were doing the inspection on the place, I was in a crawl space. Keep in mind, dark and grim. Really nasty, really smelly. And all of a sudden here's whoosh, and I'm over there. All the way at the entrance. And it's dark, I couldn't see nothing. I'm like, what just happened? Found out that the toilet was flushing into the crawl space. The wax ring was so shot. And that's why this is all nasty. This is all duckboard. Didn't even realize what this was. This isn't metal. This is all fiberglass. I can go like this. Poke a hole right through this stuff. Cheap stuff. I can't complain. But, yeah. So buying the place, they said they were going to fix this. The floor, because this was all grown mold at the time. And it was pretty gnarly. So they just cut out the old board and they just double stack wood and did their makeshift fix and wasn't too hot, and so I knew I was gonna redo it. I still went $5,000 below the, well, during inspection, just because of that, and there was the mold, and there was even mold in the attic too, both attics, that I had to deal with. I have a video of it, one of my old ones, where I'm like dressed up in a white suit. Oh, if you guys are going to be using RMR E6 Pro, you guys better wear a mask, read instructions, you better have good ventilation, and all that good stuff. Because I almost got myself in big trouble, because I was wearing a mask, and I wore a suit. First of all, I was just crawling all in it, and I had knee pads and all that, but what happened was it would soak right in, and I had like chemical burns. They were all, my knees were all red, and it's bad stuff. And oh yeah, I didn't have good ventilation. I'm over here coughing, stuff is going in my lungs. Very dangerous. Very dangerous. You need good ventilation. Need to follow instructions. You'll die. You'll die. Oh, I think I just keep going off the topic. I keep bouncing. But yeah, when the RMR goes to the floor and it crystallizes, it actually turns to, oh, look at this garbage. It actually turns to a salt. And then the salt was corroding everything. I even had to sand, I Scotch-Brite all the gas lines. They're all rotted. And then I called up Nicor Gas and asking if I could paint it, my gas lines. There's a lot of hemming and hawing online about painting gas lines, and a lot of people don't like it because what happens is you can be covering up a gas leak if you do have a gas leak. So yeah, so I was just gonna Rust-Oleum in it all the way down, and I was getting ready to paint it. I opened up the can, and the fumes coming off of it was horrific. I'm like, holy crap. So I was gonna have to wear a mask, and keep in mind, this is underneath the crawl space, so I was worried about the fumes going into units. I don't want nobody getting sick. So I didn't do it. And actually, it didn't get any worse. That's all I care about. You can see, I haven't cleaned up. I'm over here, Scotch-Brite and everything. I haven't cleaned this line. You see the green right here? This whole thing was all green. See the boxes? This whole pipe. This thing was, we'll say about 2 or 3 years old. Looks like it's been here for 20 years. That's how serious that stuff was, that salt. It must have gotten blown up in the air. And then when I would crawl in here, my hands would be, well, I guess my hands are still kind of dry. It's not nothing, nowhere near how it was before. I just crawl in here, and my hands would get super dry from all the salt. Because I guess the RMR turns into a salt, dried up. And then it reminded me of like what's that area that has high corrosion or whatever, like salt water, seawater air, like I think it's Florida or something. So everything corrodes super fast. But it was pretty much in my crawl space. I had like seawater air. Ugh. And I know this isn't right, like I said before, because it's going to run a lot longer. It does catch up eventually. I would suggest you getting the right dehumidifier. Yeah, and another video I actually added these grounds, and because there was no grounds past the meters, which I was kind of curious of. I don't know why they didn't do that, but I had to ground both sides. I got clamps on them. Same thing with that one over there. Here we go. A good example. I'm surprised I didn't get all this. See how grungy that is? Oh yeah, this is all black too. When I was before I was spraying, it was just mold everywhere. But literally, you see this? Well, first of all, the dryer vent was just blowing into the crawl space. So during inspection, actually my inspector just popped it back on for them, so it wouldn't blow in here, carbon monoxide. And I was like, holy crap. And this whole place was like this. Whole place. By the toilet, there was just like furry mold. Furry mold, it was growing. Okay, I forgot to show how much wood I cut out. So that's the board I replaced. So I ended up putting some pieces in there as best I could. So right here, this is the shower, and I cut as much out as I could. So I used a 2x6 for that and just put it flat. This is all replaced over here. Oh! Ow! See how I put that board here? Board across still, so this is a new wood. Right around here too. And then I added another 2x4 next to it to hold that piece of wood. It was funny, I just kept on, when I was up there replacing that subfloor, the wood was super soft. Super soft, so I just kept taking more out. That's how nasty this place was. How nasty. It must have been going for years, leaking. Well, here we go. I just put this tape up here not that long ago. And these bugs love it. I don't even see any of these bugs. They just reappear here. And what they do is, they must like the smell from the seam of the tape, and they'll get stuck to it. Or unless you're just walking by and getting stuck. But I think it's kind of funny how they're just dying on the seams. Perfect straight lines. Oh, I forgot to mention, these are also sloped towards the house. Both concrete pads. Not really proud of myself, but these are actually really high or really low below. Really low. And I was able to jack them up quite a bit. I even overjacked it because I knew they were going to settle back down. I patched it, and it failed. Failed horribly. But as long as it's sloped towards the house or away from the house, I'm happy, which it is. It looked a lot better than this, man. I didn't think it was going to fail this bad. And then, also, I drilled out a bunch of holes and filled them up with foam. And, yeah. And this was already patched already. And then I just went over it again. Still failed pretty bad. But I know concrete guy. It's the same thing. I had to jack this thing up. As long as it sloped away the house, I'm fine. If anything happens to these or whatever to the point where I can't save it anymore, which kind of looks hideous anyways, but if I can't save them, I'm just going to crack them out. I'll put grass. I'm good. But that's a wrap. Have a good night.